Welcome to the Science and Paranormal with Dr. Yana and Dr. Elliot, where science meets the unexpected, where we delve deep into the mysteries that straddle the line between scientific inquiry and paranormal. Get ready for a mind-altering journey as we embark on this phenomenal discovery together on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Elliot. I'm here with the beautiful and always entertaining Dr. Yana. And we have a very special guest tonight, Nancy Thames, who is a prominent figure in the field of UFO and extraterrestrial encounters. She's also a former employee for the United States Department of Defense, and she's dedicated much of her life to sharing her personal experiences as a lifelong contactee of interdimensional extraterrestrial beings. I've seen her on multiple different podcasts here recently, and we're very happy to have her. Her journey has profoundly shaped her belief in the importance of disclosure and also spiritual awakening in humanity. So welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you for having me. I'm just really proud to be here.
I cannot wait to dive in. Guys, you're listening to Science and Paranormal, and we're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and also on Roku TV. Dr. Yana and I are going to be leaving the radio network. We're both very intertwined in both our personal life and our work life. We have so much on the go that we can't commit to a weekly radio show. So we are going to continue Science and the Paranormal. However, it will be done via our YouTube page, and it'll probably just be once or twice a month. So follow us on Facebook, Science and the Paranormal. We'll keep you up to date on that. Dr. Yana.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, hello. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I know that you have grown to love us, which I hope that this is the case. And unfortunately, we'll be leaving the network, like Dr. Elliot said, but we are not disappearing. So come to our YouTube, listen to us, and comment, please. And we will be bringing this exciting content to you a little bit less often, but we are hoping that we will pick up in the future. Please welcome our fantastic guest today, Nancy Thames.
Hello, everyone. So where do we want to start?
Well, this is your mission in life is so incredible.
It really is.
Yeah, it is so unconventional as well, because not many of us can boast with what you do in life and the heights that you have achieved in such a not understood area of life yet, such as the extraterrestrials, and even being contacted by them. And we understand that you have been contacted by them for a long time now, for many years, and not just once.
Absolutely.
So how did it all start for you, Nancy?
Oh, wow. I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional extraterrestrials, which when I say that, what I'm talking about, the interdimensionals, which are of a very, very high frequency, and then extraterrestrials, which would be many, many different races. And I have face-to-face physical contact with them, and this has been happening all my life since my birth. And my first conscious memories start around 2 or 3 years old. And it's always been, especially when younger, they would send 3 hybrids, which were gray hybrids, which are about 4 feet tall, and they're not gray, they're reddish brown. One is a female, and she and I are bonded. And I know now, just from doing this for so long, I'm 64 years old, and this is not even close to being over with. But anyway, I've been with her probably in previous lives. So We have a very close bond. I love her. She loves me. But they always would send, when I was little, send three to come for me, and they would let me know like maybe 5 to 10 minutes before they're coming. They would give me the opportunity to, they would start raising my frequency and give me the opportunity to mentally prepare myself. When I was young, I had no fears. Nothing in the world had influenced me. So it simply was what it was. And it was fun. It was loving. I enjoyed it. I looked forward to it. I would boast about it to my mom and dad, and they would just laugh and say, "Go back to bed. You're having a very vivid dream." So, I just suppressed it. But as I got older, junior high, high school age, I realized, and plus my parents told me, these are not topics that you can talk about. I grew up in
Oh,
Tennessee,
yeah. Yeah.
which is
I
the Bible
agree.
Belt, and these are considered either demonic or a mental health issue. So I learned very young that you could not talk about this. The world was not ready for these topics. So I learned to suppress it. I had to, because in order to function and have a normal childhood and an early adult life, you have to balance out these contacts with your life here on earth. And it wasn't easy at all. There were lots of times that it really played with my mind, having me question, uh, listening to what I see on TV, listening to uh, other people's remarks, reading books, picking up magazines about ufology, and seeing all these different things. And that changed everything for me in the fact that I became afraid. It made me afraid. I did it to myself by listening and taking information in by other people. So when that happened, the experiences changed because of my fear. And they, rather than having the fully conscious physical contact, they would touch me on the forehead when they sense my extreme fear and anxiety and black me out. And then for a lot of people, this is what they call missing time, because they will black you out. For me, they did what I call fragmented memories, which was giving me intermittent memory, so that when I come back and reflect on my contact, it's giving me time for my spiritual growth, for my understanding, to realize that I was creating my own fear. It wasn't anything they were doing. And it didn't happen overnight. It took me a while to figure this out. But I now know that because they are from a higher dimension and a much higher frequency than we are, every them being telepathic, not only do they hear what we're thinking, but our emotions and stuff, they feel it 10 times the amount that we feel. And
All of them? You mentioned
it,
different races.
yes, they were the three come to get me prepared. And what they would do when I was young is either through their consciousness or through a handheld device, they would take and run from my head to my toe to head. And I would feel a vibrational frequency change in my body. And then I would start to float up off the bed or off the floor if I was standing. And then the female gray would take me by the hand and lead me up through the roof, through a door, through a window. And when I was young, this was very confusing for me, because everything I was learning in my classes at school, human beings weren't able to do this. So I know now what they were doing is changing my human frequency to match their frequency. And it changes something in our physiology or structure. And I was enabled to go through the ceiling, and I could look around and see the insulation, the unfinished floors with the planks, and Christmas decorations and storage. So
Were you also physically gone? It's not
yes,
only in the spirit we're talking
no,
about.
no, I would look down. The bed was empty, and I would look at her and touch my arms, and I would say, "Is this real?" And she would just, yes, it was real.
Now, Nancy, what would be, in your understanding now, after so many years, the purpose of them to contact you or to contact the humanity?
Well, this is something that they've been working on since our creation, and they have visited our planet throughout history. Um, it's unfortunate that our level of consciousness, a lot of times we dismissed it or didn't understand it, or we tried to rationalize it with our human thinking. But for me, I was when I was 30, I witnessed my two sons being taken for their first time that I saw. And I felt that they were coming, and I raised up and looked, and these were three different grays, and they were gray color, and they were about 3 foot tall, and they had very high collars and robes. And when they saw me sitting up, one approached me, pressed me down, and said, "This is not about you." And so when I was down, I went to speak, and they had me in a paralysis of non-movement and non-vocal, but they left me fully conscious. So then they proceeded to walk over to my two children we were at a hotel in Key West, Florida, at a Marriott on the beach. And they walked over, got them out of the bed, and started walking in front of me. And I could not speak or move. And it was horrific. I felt helpless. Like I had no control. And I had never, ever considered the fact that this would include my children. And then as they walked by, they blacked me out. And I didn't wake up till the next morning. And they were perfectly fine in their bed. And when I asked them about anything occurring during the night, they didn't have any recollection. So I left it alone. But when I got home, I sat down and meditated and asked for explanation. Please tell me, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to my children? What is the purpose? What is the meaning? And they did not come immediately. I'm not a person that claims that I can do anything out of the ordinary. You know, I don't claim I can summon them or anything like that. So I went to bed, and they did come on their own time. And it was the female gray with her two companions. And they took me to a craft where I went before a group of elders. And these were interdimensional beings, which are about 8 foot tall. They're shiny, luminescent, and they were representing many different races or galaxies within the universe or wherever their dimension is. So, and I asked them, why is this happening to me? What is the purpose? And they told me that before I was born here on Earth, that I had agreed to be part of a evolutionary occurrence here on Earth, that I was here to help humanity understand ascension, our evolutionary phase of getting us adjusted to the cosmic realm, and the fact that we're not alone in the universe, and that we have a part to play as far as humanity. And I was here to help with misinformation. And they told me they would come to see me throughout my life, and I would understand as I got older, and they would prepare me. And I was 30 years old. I heard what they said. Did I understand it all? No, I did not. So when I was sitting there and they knew that I was in disbelief, they gave me a blue orb, and they opened it, and inside it, I saw the vision of myself as a interdimensional being prepared to go to my human experience, waiting, and then them walking me along with this, and I'm watching it, and then I see my soul essence leave and go into my mother, and I watched myself being born. And they said, we understand you don't understand this at this point. We'll be coming to see you throughout your life to help you understand your purpose and the meaning of all this. So now I know I was an interdimensional being, and I made a choice to come here and be a part of this grand event for humanity. This is the biggest thing since our creation. We've had things to occur before, but this is different. People are aware of more of what's going on in the world. People are waking up. We are leaving the negative 3D realm and moving into the fourth or fifth dimension. And these are not physical places. They're higher levels of consciousness. consciousness, and I'm here to help the world to understand we're not alone and we have nothing to fear. This is part of our evolutionary process, and they're not here to do anything other than assist. We are like children to them, juvenile children, and they're over billions of years ahead of us in evolution. So, they're, if they wanted to do anything negative or harm us, it would have already occurred, but that's not the case at all.
Well, you mentioned in your writings that those encounters are primarily benevolent. And we hear from other people that there are a lot of the cases with the negative encounters when they are abducted and essentially perform tests on. What would you say about that?
I say that it is very real to the individual. They experienced it. They experienced extreme fear. And when you experience extreme fear, interdimensionals and extraterrestrials are from a higher dimension. In their reality, there is no fear. There is no negativity. There is no wars. There is no aspects of anything evil or negative. So when they come across a human being that has all this fear, they black you out. So most people are blacked out through their whole experience. But when they wake up, their brain is trying to rationalize the experience, and they will draw from whatever the belief system is, or the human will, whatever they've seen, whatever, that has influenced them from what they've watched or read, etc. They will fill in this missing time. And it's the way that the human brain tries to rationalize with the shock of the occurrence. And most people, well, all human beings, we chose to come to Earth, whether we would remember it or not. We chose to come to Earth, and we all make soul contracts before we get here. We decide how long we're going to live, what we're going to experience. And a lot of these people, well, not a lot, I don't know why I keep saying that. All of these people made soul contracts to be part of this evolutionary process, but they don't remember it. So,
could it be by chance that if we make all of those contracts, as you're saying, could it be that you made a contract with benevolent beings, and that's who you encounter now? That's where you come from, perhaps your soul. And those that report negative encounters, they are in fact encountering something, and that is real, perhaps, but these would be just different entities from different camps.
No, there's over 60 different races of grays. I've met many of them, and they are all benevolent. And what people do, you have to understand, they are not from our dimension. And when I say that, a lot of people think that they know where the gray comes from, or grays come from in our solar system. If they are not from our solar system, they are interdimensional. All extraterrestrials are interdimensional. And this is something that has not been understood, but people are going to wake up and realize our government has already been exposing this to the world. So if they do come from a planet at one time, but most of them stay in the motherships now. And the way they explain it to me is that, first of all, they do not use names and labels in their reality. Their frequency is their signature. So to them, I am not Nancy. I am my frequency. My frequency is my signature. And that's how they find me and identify me as. And that is who I am.
Can we change our frequencies?
You can increase your frequency, but you still have your own signature with your frequency.
Like your DNA.
Yeah, sort of like that. But that's a genetic trait. That's not really part of the soul. So
like
this
is spiritual DNA.
If that's what it is, I'm not quite sure on that, to be honest with you.
We have to understand it in our human terms.
I know. I'm trying to.
Here.
Yeah.
Now, Nancy, what about then reptilians?
I've met
Is
reptilians.
It all a hoax? So the reptilians are also benevolent.
Yes, they are. And I've met them and I've gifted
All of
them.
them.
Yes, I've gifted them the blue orb. I've gifted them. They had me gift when I've entered when the female gray takes me to meet other races, they give me a blue orb, and they've always told me to choose the color blue. And the best I can do, my perception, I don't claim to know everything, but that is representing, we are not, I'm not Nancy from Tennessee or Nancy from Mississippi or Nancy from the United States. In that reality, I am a earthling. We are all earthlings. They do not believe that we separate, identify ourselves by a label or a name that puts us, that separates us from the rest of the world. In their philosophy, in their belief systems, we are one. We are all connected. So I am Nancy, the earthling, to them.
Did you give them the news that we're not all connected, that we're not ready for that big shift?
They know
all these wars, we fight with each other.
They know all this, and that's what they're working on to help us to learn to behave and become the better version of ourselves that we were created to be. And
so
the thing that we have, yes, this is the purpose. It's to move us out of this negative 3D realm, so that we can understand who we truly are, not what the world has programmed us into be, but to look at us ourselves within, find our inner soul self, get in tune with it, figure out our uniqueness. And what so-called junk DNA is actually, it is unactivated cosmic DNA. And we'll start to
not to understand it now.
Yeah. And these things won't happen like that, like overnight or anything, because that would be too much for the human brain to handle. It has to be done in a slow and beautiful way, because this is about all of humanity. This is not just about certain people. This is all of us. We all chose to come to Earth. We all chose to be a part of this. And part of this ascension and waking up is people, what we are, we're reaching higher frequencies. And when we do that, we're all like little antennas, and dimensions are not physical places. It's higher levels of consciousness. So our antennas are touching into the ascension and the awakening of more knowledge. And when we get up to this more knowledge, all questions we ever wanted to know, such as our origins, such as the true history of our planet, our sole purposes are about who we truly are and not the program version of ourselves. We will come to the realization and understanding, and our world will change. And, like I said, it can't happen overnight because it would be too much. And everybody will be ascending and waking up on their own spiritual level. So, we're not all alike,
Well, if we look at history, there are a lot of encounters also with extraterrestrials, although they were not considered as such. They were considered gods before, angels, and different kinds of creatures. But if we just look at the 5 books of Moses, at the Old Testament, for example, there were already many encounters of even going out to space and measuring, even doing the exact precise measurements, being taken to the spaceship, for example, and coming back and building the temple, and even looking at the John, who wrote the Revelation, the book of Revelation. He was also hiding in the cave, I think it was on Patmos, and for quite some time. And he also had these visions, and perhaps it was also with extraterrestrials, although he did not actually understand what it was because he did not have any frame of reference at the time.
Exactly.
Do you think that there was an intent for our spiritual awakening here at that time already 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago? Or is it only happening now?
It's always been happening. We were not at the level of consciousness higher levels of consciousness to fully understand these things and all that was. And one way that they explained this to me is that if the three of us were to teleport as we are right now at our level, our frequency, if they teleported us back to biblical times and then we three go walking out in front of those people of that time at their frequency, we would appear as the shiny ones to them.
I'm the shiny one. Dr.
Yes.
Elliot, we're the shining ones.
Yes.
We're the Anunnaki.
Yeah, we would appear to be what they would consider gods or angels. So that
I don't
to
mind.
me,
I don't really mind at all.
well, what that's telling me, or the way I perceive that, is that they tell me they are not gods, they are not angels, but it was a human perception at that time because they had nothing to compare it to. That was their rationalization, and they did the best they could. There's nothing wrong with that. That was, and it served a purpose into getting some kind of organization together. But what they didn't need to happen was for us to have separation, division. If we had stayed with one religion, all united together, that would have been the beauty,
right? We did at the very beginning. It was a religion
But
that was based on all of those religions that existed
Yeah.
at the time. So it was one religion that united all the nations under one.
So when whatever happened, whoever this all occurred, and it wasn't of extraterrestrials, I can assure you of that, because they want us to realize and come together again in unity and understand our connections with each other, with every living conscious being on our planet, including our planet Earth. She is a living conscious being. So come together in unity and also understand as above, so below, because we are all connected with them. And whatever we do here on Earth ripples out into the universe and affects all of them, whether we realize it or not, because we are all one. So,
well, if you're saying that as above, so below, this postulate, in fact, implies that if there are benevolent beings, there could be probably also the evil beings that do not bring good, benevolent things to the humanity. I would like to get back to that sphere that they gave you. And it's my understanding, I may be wrong, that they gave you it several times and it had to be blue. What was that sphere about?
Well, I think that was me. I think it's an essence of me, but it's also an essence of Earth. So because in their reality, I am an earthling, we are earthlings. That's how we are, we are all one. We are Earth, because Earth, we are connected to Earth. So that is my giving an orb to reptilians, or to a race of reptilians, and presenting it to them. And I'm giving it to them representing Earth and letting them see the essence of all frequencies here on Earth. And then it's just a way, for example, through me, incarnates like me, I am the best way for them to understand what it's like to be here on Earth through my eyes, through my experiences. And they have pushed me in all kinds of directions. And I understand now everything I've ever experienced, they played a part in, whether it was good or bad, it played a part and was part of my spiritual growth and has made me who I am today. So basically, it is just at times when I'm there, through my eyes and through my consciousness, they understand what our struggles are here on Earth. They understand, when I'm there on craft, there's always a group of beings that are evaluating me, checking my spiritual growth, my mental health, checking to see what toxins we're exposed to here on this planet, all these different things. So it is a way of them, and through me, it's a way of expressing the beauty in humanity, what we're capable of, what our uniqueness, you know, and that I'm here to try to make the world wake up and realize we are all a part of this. This is not about me. This is not about the United States. It's not about certain countries. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and we're all a part of it. And that's why I say we are the disclosure. Human beings, all of us, we are the disclosure. And we won't even need the government to tell us anything. When we reach this level of knowledge in our higher consciousness, we'll already know everything. We won't need anybody to tell us anything.
I wonder what our world is going to look like if we did not have any government in the future, because our minds are so limited that we don't understand how it is going to take place and what form it is going to take.
Fear is what limits us and keeps us locked into this 3D realm. That's the main thing. We have to face our fears and understand that sometimes, you know, what we fear is holding us back and preventing us from moving on to the next level of our creation.
Nancy, so would you say that the sphere that they give you is also a tool for gathering information here and reporting it back to them, or for you to use to expand the consciousness of people around you?
I do both. So it's kind of a mixture, you know. They're learning and they're also teaching me. So it's an exchange of information. It's an exchange of consciousness. It is, you know, I understand now who I truly am. I'm not the Nancy Thames the world programmed me into. I am in tune with my inner soul self, and I know that I have family there waiting on me, and I know that this world is going to be, they've shown me visions of what this world will be like, and I know every time I get disgusted and think, oh my gosh, this is impossible, they remind me, be patient, let evolution run its course. Because with just the simple fact of us going through ascension and evolution, most of our fears, most of our problems, if we make the efforts to work with it, will be taken care of by evolution. It is a divine, slow process that is done in that way because it is for all of humanity, not just limited ones. Everyone is given a chance to be the better version of themselves. So it's a slow, beautiful process. So I know it's hard for people to understand that, and I know that people have not seen the visions that I've seen, but I think we should all look within, get in tune with our subconscious and ask it to open up into our human consciousness. And we are ready. We're at a pivotal moment in time that if we don't move out of this 3D realm and evolve mentally, consciously, spiritually, peacefully, all these wonderful words, our world could end as we know it. If we stayed in this negative 3D world, we could end up in World War III. We have to prevent this. We have to do our part. They cannot come down here and fix everything for us. There would be no purpose in us coming to Earth if we already knew everything. So it's a learning school process, and we're here on free will. So, and people have Bateso contracts they don't remember. So they're limited by a cosmic law of what they can do to help us. They do what they can, but so they're limited.
If you're saying that we're here by our free will, and from that standpoint of knowing as much as you know already and being told and instructed in so many different ways, can we change, in fact, what is there for us? Could you, for example, now, if you were given this mission, could you now, for example, say that I don't want to do that? I, for example, want to paint, or not you, the person like you who is also a contactee, all of a sudden decided that just to do drawing, painting, art, and nothing else, to be secluded somewhere in the woods, or do completely totally different, like doing podcasts, for example, or be on a radio show, being the host. So do you think that you or we could say no to our mission, and there would be nothing, no
Yes.
repercussions for that.
Sure. They don't push you any further than you want to take your mission. For example, there's other people in my family that didn't want to pursue it as much as I have. They were very patient for me. There were times 10, 20 years ago that I would have just, this is not for me. This is crazy. Nobody wants to hear what I say. Nobody believes what I say. It's easy to brush these things off. So, but it was different for me. I got in tune with my inner self, and they gave me a Kundalini awakening. And when that happened, that really changed a lot. And the fact that my son experienced, the oldest son experienced the Kundalini awakening about the same time. Not, we don't live together, but, and he started getting all these downloads and things. So, and I already knew that they've had experiences, but about 5 years ago, and up until 2 or 3 years ago, it's speeding up. It's speeding up, getting us prepared. And this is why, is because we are to do what I'm doing now to get the word out. And it means everything in the world to me. I do draw, I do paint, I do anything I want to do. But when I was 20 or 30, and if I'd said, threw my fist down and said, I'm not doing this, they would have left it alone, because if they don't push you any further than what you can handle. And it's not for everybody. And I've seen people say, I can't deal with that.
This is so interesting that a few minutes ago you essentially misspoke. You said prophet, but it was really not misspeaking at all. If we again look into the history and all of those prophets, there was nothing different from those times as you're talking right now. Things that would happen in the future, again, if we take the Gospel of John, what he said would happen in the future and how the world is going to collapse, it will be this huge big battle. It's essentially, you were shown the future as well. What and when that future is going to come, what is it going to look like? Is it going to be in our lifetime or centuries from now?
Well, things cannot all happen at one time. It has to be done in a way that we all can digest it. So it will be a process. As far as time, in their reality, there is no such thing as time. Everything for them happens here, now, then. It's all together. It all happens at once. For us, a lot of it depends on humanity and our waking up process, because when we get to a level of a frequency here on this planet that's high enough to get us over into the fourth, fifth dimension, which we're headed that way, we're already in it in some ways, then they will be able to present themselves to us in different ways to encourage us. The beautiful thing about raising your ascension or raising your frequency is not only does your body reward you in feeling really good, but the things around you, it's like the better you are, the better things happen and occur around you. It's like you're a magnet and you draw in the positive, beautiful things. So, and once you become at a higher frequency and more positive, you never go backwards, and you'll find yourself walking away from other people that are stuck in a negative way of thinking, because you don't want to lose your frequency. And if they start bringing your frequency down, you'll just simply dismiss yourself from them. It doesn't mean you don't love them, but it means that you're not going to let that boundary come into your level of understanding and awareness and intelligence, and it feels really wonderful.
This is so interesting, because many of us cannot even wrap our minds around the whole idea to even be contacted or to be contacted on such a frequent basis. When you decided to do the disclosure, the alien disclosure, you are also talking about the spiritual awakening. How is that spiritual awakening related to those encounters that you have, and why do we need a spiritual awakening? Do all of us have the potential for that, or
Oh,
some don't?
absolutely. Oh, everyone does. It's about raising your frequency. It raises. We don't have antennas, but I'm just using this as a metaphor. So as we evolve and we increase our consciousness into higher levels of intelligence, it's like we're dipping into knowledge banks. We're dipping into these things. We all have the potential. That's the uniqueness and why I say we are the disclosure, because we've never seen ourselves in this way. We are beautiful, unique beings and have so much to offer the cosmic realm and to our own selves. And to the, we're going to go down in history as being the generation that made the change, that made the human experience a beautiful experience. It is not a beautiful experience as it is now. And in previous generations, we've been a slave to a system of control and manipulation, and led by greed and money and
I
all
don't think
these
we've ever been
manipulations.
free. It's always been the case. History repeats itself.
Right, right. So these things are going to change. We have the biggest opportunity in a lot that humanity's ever had, and we're all a part of it. So it's a big deal. And every race, every single race, we are on display. We are the spotlight of of the whole galaxy, because they're waiting and watching to see if we do get this right, and if we reach our potential, because we are beautiful. We can become telepathic, we can become intuitive. We have many, many qualities, and we should not be having these short lifespans. We should not be having all this food with toxins in our water, toxins in our air. And we're all going to come up to this awakening and realize, and we're going to treat our bodies better. We're going to start living longer lives. We're going to be happier. There will be no diseases. There shouldn't be diseases now.
Europe has already awakened. It looks like they are banning all of the products that come
Yes.
from the United States. So
Yes.
interesting. Well,
I
Yes.
just read an article this week actually about microplastics being found in our brains and our kidneys,
Yes.
our bodies.
Yes, I saw that today too. I can't remember if I posted it today or if it's going to be posted, but yes, it is unbelievable. And they have showed me the visions of how we can take AI and use it to the betterment of humanity, keep it as a man-made tool, and be in charge. But we have to get out of this negative 3D realm. In this realm, this is where evil, this is where manipulation and any type of control can exist. And they've wanted us to keep us here because they like the power. And when I say they, I'm talking about human elites that run our world, our corporations, our pharmaceutical companies, our oil companies, our banking system, our religious systems. They control everything. News that we see on the television, half of it's not even real. They project out what they want us to believe to keep us separated, because they know once we reach this higher level,
coming out.
Yes,
that's
the higher levels of consciousness, and we come to the realization and understand these things with our knowledge, we come together in unity, we are unstoppable. They don't want this to happen. They've never wanted this to happen, but it's happening right here, right now on planet Earth.
Nancy, I have a peculiar question for you.
Okay.
I need to ask you for your opinion, because it's been a puzzle for me for many decades now. When I had a few times the encounter with the Grays, and every time they would come to announce that something bad is going to happen, it is like speaking about the prophecies. And I'm not speaking in those terms. It is something that they would always come and they will reveal that's either in 6 months, in a year, something terrible is going to happen. And it does happen, whether that is a very malignant earthquake that takes away thousands and thousands of lives, or our leaders being responsible for bloodshed, severe bloodshed in the world. So I could never understand the reason behind it. Why would we need to know if we cannot change anything about it? We cannot change the seismic activity that is going to take place in 6 months, for example. Why do we need to know? Because I was told when I asked, they said, we just need to tell you why. And that's the answer that I never gotten. So, in your opinion, why?
They were giving you warnings because you're in a position. I don't know if you were in the same position that you're in right now, but the people listen to you. You have a voice, and they're giving you a warning to spread to the world.
Well, first time I was 14. I did not have
Mhm.
much of a voice. There was a war and all of these cataclysms going on. So we can't even prevent the earthquake. So why?
It was a preparation to get you prepared for what you're doing today. You are a
Interesting.
voice. You are a voice. Everything they do is for a purpose. All of my life, for 10, 20, 30, 40 things occurred. And I didn't understand why they wanted me to be wide awake and watch my children being taken. It served a higher purpose. Everything they do serves a higher purpose. Every contact they have with human beings serves a higher purpose. And they know that our level of consciousness, we might not understand it at the time that it occurs, but they also knew this day would come to where all knowledge and all truths will be known, and it will all come together and make sense. And when they gave me the Kundalini awakening, that glued it all together, and I understood and could piece it together. So for you, it was a preparation to get you to be who you are today. And when you get to the point, you will reflect back and you'll realize they were preparing you for to be a person to speak out and be a part of this too in some way.
Could it be that for us humans to live on Earth, could it be that if we wanted to, we would just live our own personal lives and not personal lives, our lives in a society and personal lives, and not be governed by anything from the higher realm? Can we use our own consciousness? Can we use our own brains and make decisions in our own lives instead of being like marionettes essentially for the higher realm?
Well, what you're missing here is that we are being played like puppets from this minute on, from our past for eons. We have been manipulated and controlled, and it's a form of population control that they have used on us. We are moving into a new era of us making better decisions, needing less. We will learn that we don't need all those controls, and we will learn that we can come together as one and make our own decisions and use our intelligence. So we'll use AI in a proper way. It won't be used by a certain group of people that control all the technology and suppress it from us. So they have no intention of taking over our planet. They are being years ahead of us. They can manifest anything they need or anything they need. They need nothing from our Earth or from us. Our technology is a separate entity. It's something we carry around. It's like my phone or this laptop or these headphones. In their reality, their higher consciousness is their technology. It is not a separate entity, and they are biological. They are not AI. They are just beings years ahead of us, and they believe in a creator source, and they all have souls. So
They all have souls.
yes, they do. And they're not here to take over or control. They're simply here to assist, because we're at this stage that our evolution, we're at an evolutionary stage that our technology is to the peak point that if it's not in the right hands or used wisely, we could destroy our planet Earth, and they're not going to let us do that. They love our planet Earth, and they love every living thing on it. We are just a part of a whole bunch of things they love about Earth.
I was
I
going to
just
ask you a question. I know back when we started to develop nuclear weapons, UFO sightings and encounters increased. Some say that they were concerned about our advancement in technology and what we would use that for. Did they mention anything of that
Yes,
to you?
yes. So it goes back to this. Human beings are just a very small fraction of the importance of planet Earth. They see Earth from a huge perspective. Our Earth is a living conscious being. Every plant, tree, insect, rock, air, water is a living conscious being. And they're all connected with it. We're all connected with it, but we've lost our connections. So this is part of our ascension, is to realize our connections. So they will not allow us to destroy not only ourselves, but every living being, all the whales, mammals, the coral reefs, the jungles, mountains, etc. They are just as important as we are to them. They're very important. So, no, they will not let us carry things into space. They will not let us destroy each other. They've gone around and turned off these sites to indicate their knowledge and to indicate their power. And that doesn't seem to discourage our governments, but they're not going to let us destroy her. However, I do know that if for some reason we are stubborn and don't realize this opportunity, and if it were to take a human doing a small destructive thing, it could happen if that would be what it would take to wake us up and realize we need new ways of thinking and new ways of living, that these old systems, these old ways no longer serve humanity, because we have to look at it. Do we want to be for the here and now, or do we want to be a species, a civilization that continues on for billions of years? And we have to start thinking ahead. In the past, I think they were thinking about, well, we're going to put this on the back burner. This is not going to happen in our lifetime. We'll let the next generation deal with it. We're not doing that anymore. We're past that point. The time is now. We have to do this now. We have to fix our planet, our world, for
So,
future generations.
have they? I got so many questions. Have they talked about anything about like our solar system, like how our planet is teeming with life, and so far from what we've been able to determine, the other planets don't seem to have any life that we're aware of right now. They talk about moons that have oceans underneath them, and they just found water underneath Mars' surface, and talking about that's one element that life can thrive. But as of right now, the only planet in our solar system that we know of that has life is ours. Did they talk anything about that?
Well, first of all extraterrestrials are interdimensionals. In our human mind, we've always tried to rationalize and say, well, the grays come from Ceres or Orion. We try to, in their reality, they are interdimensional, and that means they come in and out of our dimension. That's why we see their craft at 1 minute and then it disappears another. And that's just like Bigfoot or some of these other things. They are interdimensional. So yes, there's life teeming everywhere all around us, even around us right here, right now. They've proved this to me. They could be in the room with me right now or with you, and they've moved things around and played with my clock and turned it around. Just because we can't see things because we're locked in our 3D realm, which we only use our 5 senses to understand the world, and we can visually only see so far, that does not mean there's life going on all around us. There absolutely is. And so they're interdimensional. That means dimensions are not physical places. They're higher levels of consciousness, and we just can't see it. So they're everywhere all around us in our skies and in our solar system. We simply can't see it. So yes, there's life all around us. And yes, there's life all in our solar system. We just can't see it.
Now, some abductees and contactees have talked about grays that have come down into our dimension, our world. You know, your bedroom, wherever you are at the time that they make contact or are abducting you. And some people have said that the grays that they send down are robots or cyborgs or something to that effect. Have they talked to you anything about that, or do you have any knowledge about that? Are some of the ones that come to visit humans actually robots or artificial intelligence designed by the extraterrestrials because of issues with our atmosphere and them not being able to survive?
Well, the female hybrid and the other two with her are hybrids. They were created by the tall grays and the interdimensionals because extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have a problem coming down to the low frequency. They are very high frequency, and it's hard for them to come down. It's uncomfortable, and the density of Earth is just uncomfortable. So they created a hybrid. And I love her. She is not a robot. She is biological, but she is a hybrid that was created. And in her DNA, she can do the legwork for them. And that's what she does. When she gets me on craft, I don't even see her until it's time to bring me back home. But they're in her DNA, she's designed to be able to do that. But she is not a robot. She comes across as being robotic because they're very task oriented. They're on a mission, on a task. There's no negotiation. There's no, sit down and have tea type thing. I guess you would say their bedside manner is not of a human because they're not human. They are not human, and they don't behave like a human. Oh,
you mentioned that. Yeah. Have tea. This is
no. They don't have. They don't. No, they don't have tea. What they do is they make a nutrient paste and they rub it. The grays rub it into their skin. It's absorbed in, and then they excrete it out through their skin. They could take something perhaps and let it dissolve in their mouth, but the way that I've always seen and known that they do it is they rub it on their skin and it absorbs in. And reptilians do that the same way. Humanoids, they do not eat like we do. Food is not of a glorious thing to them like it is for humans. I'm a foodie. I love food, but to them, they only eat when their body needs it, and they make nutrients that they either drink or in a pill form. And they only, whenever their body needs energy or a nutrient, that's when they will eat. They don't eat 3 times a day. They may eat like once a week. Some of them may eat twice a week, and they do not sleep the hours that we sleep. They don't need the sleep like we do.
We need to become like them.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And they live much longer lives than we do. And that's how I know that when I leave this planet Earth, I have family there waiting on me. That's where I'm going. And I know they're waiting on me, and I'll pick up where I left off. And that's very comforting to me and very comforting to my sons, because they came from the interdimensional realm with me. And even though I didn't have anyone to talk to when they were younger, I now have them. And I'm thankful that they have me in their early stages of life to not have to go through what I did. It should be a lot easier for them. And they can continue on once I leave this planet to do what I'm doing if need be.
Now, I have a question for you. As a linguist, I must ask you that. So, if they have a mouth and they don't eat, perhaps they use their mouth to communicate. So how do they communicate with you? I know it can be telepathically, of course, this is in most cases, of course, but do they have the language, and how do you would interpret that? Does it have any similarity to any of the human languages?
In their reality, well, they are all telepathic. They speak to me telepathically. When the hybrid female speaks to me, I hear it in my mind. I do not sense any inflection. I do not sense male or female, but her frequency, I understand her frequency. Her frequency is her signature. It's her identity. It's who she is. So I know that she's female and that I love her and that we're deeply bonded. And our bond goes way, way back before coming to Earth. But when I'm on craft and I'm talking to the grays, the tall grays, or any grays, reptilians, or the Nordics, or what humanoids, I just call them humanoids. They do not go by the names that we label them here on Earth. So when they talk to me telepathically, I can sense it sounds male or female. I can sense inflection. So if they're wanting to be a little comical, which surprisingly they can be a little comical,
Interesting.
I can sense that, and I could, you know, I pick up on the inflection. If they want to be a little not stern, but make a point, so to speak, I can pick up on that. You know.
What about symbology then? When you're on the craft, do you recognize any symbology there? Any writings?
I don't look for things like that, and I know that sometimes, especially on the reptilian, he had a uniform, and the symbology was on the left, where our heart is. I don't know where the anatomy of all that stuff, but and I remember wanting to remember it, but I don't remember it. I probably do if I was regressed or hypnotized or something, but right now I don't. I just remember I wanted to remember it, and it was significant, but I don't remember it.
That would be very interesting to know. I don't know if you would be open to undergo the regressive hypnosis,
sure,
in order to write it, to draw it, perhaps, so we could see what the symbology that they use, and perhaps we could decode the language.
Yeah.
So that would be good. You and I could do it even differently.
Yeah. I had a lady locally do that with me, but I didn't learn anything that I didn't already know, and she had never been around anybody like me. She didn't really know what to ask me, so you know, it would have been better if I had gone to someone that knew specific things to ask. You know,
then you and I can work together.
Yeah, I would love to know. I mean,
Okay.
I would love to know, who I was before I came to Earth, and my sons. Were they my sons there, or were they? What were they there? But I know we're bonded and connected, so they may have been my sons there. I don't know though that for a fact, but I'd love to know all these things.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Mhm.
Our show unfortunately has come to an end.
Oh.
We still have so many questions, such an interesting conversation.
I love talking about this.
Yes, and I hope that we can do that again on
Absolutely,
one
I'd
of our
love to.
shows. Meanwhile, we would like to thank everyone who is listening to us, and we hope that our content is interesting to you, that you're learning something that you did not know before. And we also encourage you to share your ideas, your perspectives, your questions, and also the suggestions of what would you like to hear and see us to discuss and present here. So please don't be shy and come and talk to us and write to us, of course, email. We have been live on Science and the Paranormal with fabulous Dr. Elliot and myself, Dr. Yana. We had an incredible guest today, very interesting, with a well of information today. That's something that Dr. Elliot and I also never heard before. Nancy Thames. So thank you so much for being with us today. And
Thank you.
We wish everyone good night. Dr. Elliot.
Yes, and thank you very much, Nancy, for coming on. And it was a very fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
We'll have to have you on again.
I'd love to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.
Take care.